A very good evening to you all. My name is ILT Indigo, and today I'll be joined with nobody because I'm actually in the game chat, so I need to get into a party, which I tried to do with Head Bomb here, but for some reason it kept redirecting me into other people's parties, which I'm not quite sure why. So I'm going to go in a party to make sure nobody can hear me in the game chat. So apologies about that. We should be back live and at the British GP once again, so just a small issue right there, but it should be sorted and we can get going on once again. So here we are at the British GP in Silverstone, then representing Cohen as we took a 1 week absence due to the issues we had due to the new update module. So hopefully that has dissipated and we can go racing with our normal usual format with the F123 cars rather than the multiplayer cars, because it's much easier to pick out who's who in the actual F123 cars. We know who is in what car. But yeah, so here we are then, British GP. We were supposed to be here last week, but here we are this week then, and hopefully it'll be a very good race as well, because we've seen in the past with the Silverstone Grand Prix that has always been really great races around here at its time. Former RAF base here since 1950, well, I say World War II actually, but first introduced in the Formula 1 World Championship since 1950, and we've been racing here ever since then as well. It's been a few administration a few times as well due to the funding, because it's not a government-backed track. So unfortunately, the British GP is well, we've got a penalty already then. So that is Russell, who has already picked up a penalty for an illegal blocking against a Red Bull, or is it a severe collision? I'm not quite sure, but it's not Jeroen Visser, it's the other Red Bull. So he's already picked up a penalty for that as well. That's Kenny, and Kenny was in a spin. Was it a Red Bull? I'm not quite sure. I definitely saw somebody spin, but I'm not quite sure if it was a Red Bull or not. Definitely looked like it from my side, but anyway, we'll continue then. And I think Humberlele is on a lap time, so we'll go on board with the Alpine driver. Posh Evans is right behind him. Interestingly, Humberlele does not have any points in the championship, as he's a DNF majority of them. So Humberlele there just needs to find some consistency as we head into Brooklands then, and slightly missing the apex on the entry as we head now into Luffield. This is a great place to go side by side. Obviously Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton back in 2021 were side by side throughout the entirety of that corner, and here we are then into Copse Corner, where we famously saw them crash back in 2021. 8th gear, absolutely flat out there. Some people had to take it through 7th and rev it out as we head through then Magnussen, Beckett and Chappell as well, using all the curve, and they gradually get slower, just trying to thread the needle there. Be patient on the throttle, hits every single apex, DRS open, so it's a 2.3 in that middle sector for Humberlele, as now we go down onto the Hanger Street, heading into the Stowe corner, and let's see how he takes this one. Don't go wide on the exit too much, as Cross Liam sets the benchmark with a 26.4. First man to cross the line. We've got a few people who have retired from the session as their usual antics continue. As Humberlele crosses the line, he sets a 25.6, so instantly goes quicker, and he already into 25s. Posh Evans replaces him at the top of the timing sheets with a 25.4 then for McLaren at their home Grand Prix. So strong showing so far. So Jeroen has left the session, so hopefully he can come back, as ILT Leroy is up into P1 with a 25.2, so great lap time from the Irishman there, looking to try and get his first podium of the season as well. He had one podium in his time in CRL. That was at, if I remember from top of my head, is it the Brazilian Grand Prix? I'm not quite sure, but he didn't get on the track, I don't think. I think he got on the post-race penalties. Maybe the Austrian Grand Prix, but I'm not quite sure. He's definitely got one to his name, as G. Russell then goes quickest with a 25.1, bearing in mind he has got a 5-place grid penalty, so there's no restart unfortunately for him, so he's have to bear with that, as Jeroen Visser has joined back the session. So Nathan then takes it flat out through Cop's corner we go, and he negotiates now into Maggins and Beckett. So a lovely sequence of corners through here. Flat out for the first two. He's had a slight lift off and also invalidated that lap time for good measure. So we'll see most of validations that are part of the track. It's very easy, carrying a lot of speed and momentum. Isak Kush also in the Haas has sustained an invalidation too on his first flying lap. Vapor Shadow is out there as well in the Williams as he makes his way now into Luffield we go, just round in the corner there, taking always almost spun the car, had a massive snap of oversteer, but managed to save it. But obviously we lose a hell of a lot of time due to that. So both Williams there on the back foot in this early stage of qualifying. Nathan stays out there of course, but he's running quite low in the ERS on fuel, so maybe just trying to go for another push lap and just come back into the pit lane at the end of it, because it won't be as good as he wants it to be with a lack of battery in that Williams. Kenny in P6 to Finn in 26.0 there, so he would dearly love to join that 25 group as Russell sets the pace with a low 25.1, incredible there, almost into 24s with G Russell in the Mercedes, as Pyro puts his Alpha Tauri into P5 with a 25.8 as well. So we've got Bompier in P19 I think is on a lap time, and here he is there making his way now through Maggots and Beckel. Here we go, a massive snap of oversteer on the exit there, so that will definitely cost him a bit of time as Vapor Shadow goes into P8, so not a lap time he wanted as he had a mistake coming out of Luffield. So Bompier swings his car into Stowe, but that's too wide for Bompier and has to back out, but he still goes anyway because he doesn't have an invalidation to his name then, so he continues his lap time, but it won't be good enough unfortunately for Bompier making that mistake at Stowe. It's representative though, should have been a validation, but I think him not going that fast, or him not going flat out in Stowe, meant that he gained no advantage there. So let's see what the others are doing. CPI Chaza is currently out there in the Aston Martin. I'm used to see him in the Alfa Romeo. Chaza made an appearance I think back at the Spanish Grand Prix, so another great driver has joined the roster, and it's great to see him there in the Aston Martin. But it wasn't a great race back in Spain. I think I remember both Aston Martins making contact at the Spanish Grand Prix. I think it was Chihuahua and Chaza. I think Chaza retired, but Sahilu managed to continue. But I suspect it had bodywork damage due to that impact he had with his teammates. So let's see then if they can return to the top of the form. And Chaza currently out there on his outer lap. What's Isak Kush doing in P18 there? He's coming around the final corner, but invalidated that lap time too, so it won't count for him at the time being. This is the next lap invalidated. So here we are, Chaza then rounding off turn number 3, now bringing it in wide to get a good exit through here, turn 4, using a lot of curb on the entry, use the throttle to rotate the car. Now at the exit of turn number 5 here, onto the Wellington straight we go. I got confused a few days ago between the Wellington and Hanger straight, but I know which one's which now, as we head through Brooklyn's another great corner to watch side by side action through here, and now Luffield. This is going to be a phenomenal race as well. I can't wait to see what happens in the race between every single driver going side by side. It's such a great track to fight. We've seen plenty of times before in the past. Chaza on the old pit straight as we head now into the former turn 1 at Cops. It's still turn 1 for the MotoGP Grand Prix as they use a different I think layout towards in Formula 1. Flat out through Maggins and Beckett, slight downshift, then he stays in 7th gear, down into 6th gear on the exit there as we make our way out of Maggins and Beckett then. That was Chapel, so I need to remember that, as now we head onto the Hanger straight, almost a Wellington straight, confused there with Hanger, as we head now into Stowe for CPI Chaza. So let's see where this lap time puts his car, and I think this will be his first lap time too, so let's see if he's good enough to get himself high up there in the Aston Martin. Makes his way now out the final 2 corners, and let's see where he joins the rest of them. It's a 25.4 for Chaza, so he pops his Aston into P4 just behind Posh Evans, and Humberlele there looking good in P5 still. Half the field set a lap time, half of them haven't, so let's see what the rest could do, because we had a lot of people invalidating the lap time. I don't think Chihuahua's made an appearance on the track yet, but he's in P20 currently starting an out lap, so it'll be very interesting to see what he could do in the Aston Martin. He's had a great run of podiums so far this season, but after the last few races it hasn't really swung his way, so let's see if the momentum will go back to his favour as the Sausage Joe exits the final corner, crosses the line. It's a 25.6 there for Sausage Joe, and puts his Haas into P5 ahead of Humberlele then. So Sweet Khan is out there in the Ferrari. He knows his rival has got a 5-place grid penalty, so 6 is the least where he can start. But Sweet Khan, as you can see, the flashing light is on and the 100% status is still there, so maybe up to his usual antics, as we've seen plenty of times in the past before with qualifying. So Yeah, I thought Sweet Crown would like stop doing this because it's costing a huge amount of the championship. We know he's got the pace to be up there, but obviously him sacrificing qualifying and making it harder for him in the race just makes it more difficult and cost him in P3. He's made great comebacks as the Dutchman in P12, China, Spain as well. Abu Dhabi, Joe Beam's retired too, so he's another driver that joins the rest of them. A lot of drivers love retiring in the pit lane to start at the back, which is fair enough because they want to showcase what they can do and make their way through the field if they've got the pace to do so. It gives opportunities to others as well to capitalise on that and try and get them higher up while the guys behind retire. So Sahilu goes into P3 with a 25.3, so great first one there as he joins Leroy on the second and third, both ILT drivers of course in P2 and P3. G Russell a 10th up in the first sector. This man is taking qualifying seriously as we come now towards Chapel, and nice exit through there for G Russell. He was a 10th up in the first sector, another 10th, almost 2 tenths in this middle sector for Russell, so he's improving. Can he get himself in that 24 mark? We shall see very shortly as he makes his way now through Stowe. Another fascinating corner. I've seen plenty of drivers go side by side. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen back in 2019 also, where Vettel hit the back of Verstappen and outbraked himself. So Russell towards the line. Is it going to be a 24? Yes it is. It's a 24.8 for Russell, and he's almost 3 tenths up on his personal best as well. So races the bar once again, and others will have their eyes wide open about that one indeed. So Pyro, what's he doing in the Avatar? It looks like he's just finished a lap time. Has Pyro, so not going for a lot of time at the moment. Bompier's currently out there on his flying lap. Vapor Shadow with not a represented lap time with a P12. Bompier 1 tenth down, so it looks like he's lost a lot of time in the first sector alone, has the Dutchman. But the Brit of Nathan puts his car into P4 then, and he'll be happy about that one. He's been very close in qualifying recently, has Nathan. He's been one to watch out for. Spain, Qatar, but if you remember, on both occasions he got made contact in the first lap with somebody else. So yeah, let's hope for his sake, third time lucky, he will get taken out in the first lap. Vapor Shadow, his teammate, he's a 10th up in the first sector. If you remember his last lap, he had a massive snap of oversteer coming out of Luffield, so hopefully he's got that sorted as now we come through Magnus Beckos and Chapel. Fascinating corners, fast flowing as well, very easy to get wrong. In his middle sector, 5 tenths up, as you can tell there, rectifying his mistakes. But this lap time will be a 26.6, so it looks like he slowed down for the rest of the lap on his last lap. So in the third sector, how much time can he find? Because that's the crucial part. 25s is the place to be, unless you're George Russell, of course, in P1 with a 24. But Vapor Shadow then, decent exit. It looks like the back end of the car sticking with it. He crossed the line now, it's 26.1. So big improvement there for Vapor, but unfortunately he's in P13, the penultimate spot there out all the times. Or second to last, I must say. So here's Isakush, invalidated. I think, oh, massive snap there. Bumps over the curbs and stays on the track. There's Isakush. So with 4 minutes left to go, Walter out there doing long runs on his tyres. Luke also validated, so I suspect he's another driver. Do you know what? Sweet Crown, P, Smalley Ball, Giroud, Luke, Isakush and Jewel Beam. It's going to be fascinating to watch them fight at the back and come through the field as well. So we'll see how that plans out for them, because obviously, I know it's obvious saying this, but these guys have definitely got the pace to be up there, but it's just the high risk, high reward thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't always pay out in the end, like in Abu Dhabi where Bartok got caught up in some issues. So let's see how easy it is around here. There's plenty of opportunities to overtake around here at the Silverstone Grand Prix. So yeah, 2 DRS zones around here, long straights, and good places to go side by side. It should be an interesting one to watch for those guys coming through the field. Bompierre is back in the pit lane then, as there's 3 minutes left to go in the session. I think ILT Leroy is on his flying lap then in P2. Apologies about the background noise, something just came on the speaker. It's not my speaker, but it's stopped now. As we head into turn 3 then for ILT Leroy, sliding through turn number 4. You can see the back end not living with it as we head out of turn number 5 then, as we head onto the Wellington straight. DRS enabled for the ILT driver. Let's see what improvement he can set in the first sector. 1 tenth down, so yeah, that slide, that first sector alone for Leroy was not good enough, unfortunately. So in this lap, will he back off, save the tyres, regenerate that battery, it's going to be nip and tuck if he pits. I don't think he has enough time to pit, does he? It's a long pit lane around here, and obviously the outlap too, so he's still continuing though. So does he believe he can find that time in the middle and last sector? It's crucial though if he can, because if he can't, and he's only fueled the car for one lap as well, so ILT Leroy there on the back foot, and you can see him not really taking the race in line. Yeah, one tenth down in the sector for ILT Leroy then, so his last lap hasn't held up well for him, but P2 still a great result. Canada Grand Prix where he almost took pole, but oh yeah, massive snap, and off the track he goes then into Stowe, where Michael Schumacher crashed back in 1999 and broke his leg, but returned a week later or two, and I think he scored a victory in the next race. I'm not quite sure, but he definitely made a fantastic comeback. Chazza in the middle sector. Here we are with CPI Chazza. Well, let's see how much time he's up. A tenth and a half almost in that middle sector for him. Gets a decent tow off that Mercedes, I suspect, of is it Russell or is it Crossley? I'm not quite sure. They're both on their outlaps. Humbalele's retired out the final corner, where we saw Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon make contact back in 2020. Here we are then for CPI Chazza. Just be very patient for into these sections here as we make our way towards the line. What's it going to be for us? It's a P4 for Chazza. Aston Martin on the second row with Sahilo as well. So great improvement there from Chazza, and he'll be looking around his shoulders too to see if anybody else. As you can see, Chazza just getting out of the way there. As we've got Pyro headed into turn number 3, then the first braking zone into 3 as we head through the loop of turn number 4. Then it collapses the curve. That's definitely going to unsettle the car there as we head over the rubble strips into turn 5 and through A2 we go. Let's see how much time is lost due to hitting that curb, I wonder. Let's see the lap time. 3 tenths down. I think he's backed out of it. I don't think he's lost 3 tenths alone. He's just backed out of it. So that's his lap time done and dusted. I think the qualifying will be done for him. I don't think there's enough time for him to go round once again. So Walter's done. He's P14 at best, unless Isa Kush and Luke have got anything to do about it. But Isa Kush is out there, Luke isn't, so P15 for least for Sweet Crown, as others behind him have retired. Russell invalidates immediately then. I didn't quite see where that was. It's got to be turn 2 surely. So unfortunately for Russell there, has invalidated, but I don't think he'll give a damn about it, because I don't think anybody out there can really match him, if I'm being honest. Crossley him in this middle sector. Oh, look at that time. He lost time in the first sector, but in this middle sector he gained it back. I don't think he's good enough for pole, but it could be good enough for P2. So could it be a Mercedes 1-2 for the boys at Brackley? As we are then headed down into Vale we go. Keep it nice and tidy here. All the hard work could be undone by getting the ball a bit too greedy. Here we are then, decent exit, good traction there from Liam. Cross the line, it's P2. It's a Mercedes 1-2 for Liam and Russell then, as they got the margin over everybody else. What about Nathan? 1 tenth up into Brooklands alone. So that's a great one. That's a great first sector already for him. Posh Evans, what's he doing in the middle sector? Can he improve? Yes he can, but only by a few hundreds there for Posh Evans. ILT Kenny and P9. 4 tenths up. I think he's just crossed the line, hasn't he? Has qualifying came to a close? No. 10 seconds left to go then. So qualifying will be done and dusted very shortly. On board with CRL Nathan, the man improving in the first sector, and I do believe he just made a mistake into oh, that's a big one indeed. Could it push him out wide? No, it didn't. Took a lot of curb into Chapel there, and he's a 10th up in that middle sector. Posh Evans crosses the line to go P4, splits both Aston Martins, but I think one of them is on a lap time still, which is Sahilu, because Chaz has retired. So here comes Sahilu then in the final 3 corners. Let's keep an eye on him to see what he does in the Aston Martin. As he crossed the line right now, he goes into P4 ahead of Posh Evans. Here comes Nathan across the line. What can he do? It's P4 for CRL Nathan. He'll be pleased about that one, but we still got others improving just behind. ILT Kenny a few hundreds up. Pyro, he's 2 tenths up in his little sector. Bompy across the line to go P8 for Ferrari. Now down into P9. Sausage Joe promotes himself into P6. Oh, Pyro, massive slap of oversteer. We've got a Williams across the line. Is that Vapor Shadow? Yes, it is, and he stays in P13 with a 26.1 then for Williams, so not able to improve on his lap time. But Pyro had a massive snap of oversteer there. What could he have done? He was 2 tenths up. I think P8 at best for him, unless he found more time in that last sector. But overall, it's a great qualifying from both Mercedes. Put themselves at the top of the pecking order and looking good so far during this race. Then looks like the clouds are gathering in too. So could we be on for a wet race? But if it is a wet race, will those guys behind who haven't set a lap time put themselves at risk? I wonder, because it's quite difficult to overtake in the race. Saying that though, Walter made his way through amazingly in the wet and finished in a P2 behind Russell. Qualifying's done then. I'll take a short break until we get towards the race, and let's see what the race has to offer us.
might be used to blisteringly fast pit stops, some even approaching the sub 2-second mark. But what about
the tier 3 race is on, and looks like Jet's got a decent start over Hargreaves, tier 2 sorry. So Jet currently leads ahead of Hargreaves. As they settle into turn number 3 they go. The two Alfa Romeo side by side are Carl and Tope. It looks like Carl's got ahead of him. Oh, Russell won't take pole, it's P6, so his teammate on pole. Sorry about that, I completely forgot about it. But yeah, Tope's coming back at his teammate. They're both on different strategies, so I think the Alfa Romeo has to let him go here, as they're both on different strategies. And Tope's up into P4. Strange in P3s on the mediums too, so he'll be looking to capitalise on those medium compound tyres to make his way up to the field. He's currently putting pressure on George Hargreaves in P2, so has to dispose of him immediately. They're coming into Cops. It's going to be mighty close between those two, but they settle in there. As now we head through Cops. Hobbs, he's got a decent exit out of Cops. He's putting Demorts under pressure, who had a slight moment out of that corner, and he finds himself a Ferrari all over the back of him, a Hobbsy there, trying to capitalise on that, but couldn't do it. So that one looks clean so far. A Williams and Nelly Safu, who used to be in tier 1, went very deep at turn 1, missed to make contact for sure, and spun the car, but he's still in the race, and Strange is up into P2, with the other Red Bull gaining places too. That's Delano up into P5. And he moves himself there, so both Red Bulls moving up positions right there. Looks like an interesting first lap so far, with Foul Fury putting pressure on Tango, and Mercedes has gone deep, and he slots back in, but it has a massive slap of oversteer, and looks like he's swimming all over the place. And we've got a Haas off the track of AJ, who's fallen down the order, former tier 1 driver. He's actually spun, so that's him falling down the order. But Jet remains in the lead, but for how long? Because Strange's on those medium compound tyres, so he'll be looking to gain and gain and gain, and he has to get past him immediately before those tyres start to wear out. As we nobody on the sub-compound tyres, which doesn't surprise me. It's an interesting first lap so far. Foul Fury's coming back in the Mercedes, and he moves himself up into P12, so it looks like a decent race so far. So DRS will be enabled next lap for them. Hargreaves showing some monumental pace recently, so could he make an appearance in tier 1 very shortly. He's a developing driver so far, signed for IRT. But here we are then for the race here. Look at, is that an Alpine out of shape? What's going on here? Is it a aborted start? Is it a restart? I think it's a restart, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's got to be a restart for sure for all these drivers retiring. So a restarted lobby, as we have a repeat of 2022. I don't think that's appropriate to say actually, so apologies about that one. I forgot about Chirag, you were in the battle there, in the barriers, sorry. But we move on then to restart the lobby. Is it because of the G Russell thing? Is that why we're having a restart? Yeah, it is, of course it is. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back very shortly then, as I'll take another extended break. There are the lights, then there's no formation lap obviously, and we are away for round number 9 of the British GP. I think both Mercedes get a decent start. IRT Leroy might fancy a move into 1, and turn 2 we go, slots immediately into P3, so it's Nathan under pressure there into turn 4. Let's see who's deep on the brakes here. We've got Nathan influencing the move, but can't do it. Chihuahua's got up the inside of Nathan, into 4 we go, and let's see which one of these two have a better exit as they remain side by side, coming through the loop. A bit of oversteer there for Sahilu, and now Nathan takes advantage of that one. Sausage Joe on the medium compound tyres now, headed into Brooklyn as we go. Let's see if he can make a way through. That was so close there, tags him, but thankfully not in a spin, as Sahilu says thank you very much, I'll take that position back, don't mind if I do, of course. So clean first lap so far. I don't think anybody's in a spin. We've still got a few battles going on further down the field. A Sweet Riders alongside Chazza then as we head on the old pitch straight into Cops we go, as Walter claims the inside line, moves himself up into P10. Great start from the Dutchman in the championship, in P2 there as ILT Leroy all over the back across Liam, and 2 Irishmen going at it, those two. Sausage Joe in the mediums though, so he needs to capitalise on these while he has the chance on those fresher rubber tyres at this stage of the race. ILT Leroy up the inside into Stowe, and let's see if he's got the move. We can see the car sliding around as he tries to turn in as we head through the final 3 corners. At Vale we go. ILT Leroy has the outside line. Sahilu is fighting with Sausage Joe. Leroy's into P2. Sausage Joe's ahead of Sahilu, and that's crucial there for his race. No, they're going side by side still. As you can see, Posh Evans now is in the slipstream of the Haas, tried to overtake Sahilu. He's lost 2 places. Posh Evans off the track at 1. Sahilu might fancy a move up the inside into 3. Deep on the brakes is the Aston Martin driving now as they emerge through the loop and into turn number 5 we go. They remain side by side, no DRS of course, so it's going to be a drag race all the way down into Brooklyn. So let's see which one of them burns the most, because that's going to be crucial in this DRS train. Very easy, very difficult to save the over here, and now Bompier might fancy a move on the inside. Posh Evans goes deep on the brakes, and I thought Sahilu might fancy a move back on the up the inside. Humbalele had a big step of oversteer, now been overtaken by Sweet Khan, who's swept through on the German driver in that Alpine then, so it's not looking great there for Humbalele. But Sweet Khan, incredible start from the Ferrari driver. Red Bull versus Isa Kush, those two going side by side, but Isa Kush there has to bail out of it because Shivun Vizza had that race in line, and the Williams in the background went off the track too. Was that Vapor Shadow? I think it was. Kenny and Pyro have not had a decent start. What happened to those two? They've dropped massively, so I wonder if they make contact and cost themselves a bit there, and they're falling all the way down into 19th and 20th, occupying the last row of the grid then. So not a great start for those two at all in this race. And here we are then, Humbalele looking at the back of Bompia. Sweet Khan made up 6 positions in 2 laps, so that's an incredible start from the Dutchman in P8. It's quite far behind in the championship now, with Nathan having 46 points over Sweet Khan. So Sweet Khan wanted to make a dent in the championship for George Russell. But so far, Leroy going for his first podium. I think he's had 2 attempts to try to go for a podium, Leroy, but it hasn't worked out. I think one of them was back in Canada due to the weather, and Abu Dhabi, I think there was contact into Abu Dhabi. I can't actually remember, but I definitely remember him being up there. So, his third attempt, could he find himself on the podium? As Shivun Vizza on the back of Humbalele. Forget to mention that Shivun Vizza is on the medium compound tyres, so he needs to start making moves as he can, and he moves himself up into P10. So great move there, and much needed to put himself inside the top 10 then. So Shivun Vizza has made great ground off the start, P17 to P10 for the Dutchman then. So that's a start he desperately needed, and now he's right behind the Ferrari of Bompier then. Russell continues to lead. He's out the DRS range of ILT Leroy in P2, which is very crucial around here. So he breaks the DRS immediately, as ILT Leroy is the DRS leader so far in this race, effectively from a big train from 2nd all the way down to 19th. So it's one big DRS train, and they're all just following each other on the straight, with Shivun Vizza making a move on Bompier up the inside into Stowe. We've definitely seen a Ferrari and a Red Bull go side by side in the past between those two teams, Leclerc. And here we go then, Humbalele might fancy a move up the inside, but can't quite do it. Will he get the switch back? No, he can't, because Bompier has the racing line. Massive stop over steer, massive wheel spin there for Humbalele as he tried to get the power. We saw a Haas in the background also made a mistake too. That was Isa Kush in P13, so wrong footed there out of the penultimate corner. and had to give a position towards Pease, who's also made up ground off the start of the race as well. 3 places Pease has made, not as much as Jeroen Visser and Sweetcon. Here we are on the straight, Sausage Joe taking another place off Nathan, and he moves himself up into P4. Looks like Nathan was out of the DRS range momentarily, but he let Sausage Joe go, and let's see if Sausage Joe can get back into DRS then and not lose it. ILT Leroy, massive snap of oversteer at the exit of Luffield then as he tried to apply the power. Now Cross Liam will be all over the back of him, but he stays behind for the time being then. So so far looking good for Russell as Vapor Shadow's gone for a spin out of Luffield there in the Williams then. So let's see how that's happened, and looks like he's got away. Has he got any damage in that Williams? No, he hasn't, so I don't think he's hit the wall, and people have definitely spun there in the past. It's very easy to lose the car at that session of the track. Remember, I think Sebastian Vettel lost his car in 2021, I believe, against Fernando Alonso. Here comes Cross Liam on the Alpine driver, and he moves himself up into P2, but here comes back the Alpine. Yet again another twitch from the rear end of that car. Doesn't look very stable, does it? But Cross Liam then remains in P2 for the time being. You can see there, ILT Leroy is quite low at the ERS stage, so you can definitely tell he's been using that ERS to probably defend or try and catch up to Russell, but I think that's out of the question now because Russell is too far ahead, just controlling his own race. As Bompier once again been overtaken there by Humber Lele, who moves himself up into P10, and there's a big gap starting to develop between those guys as well. This is a decent tussle between all these drivers here. Sausage Joe on those medium compound tyres wants to take advantage as much as you can, but being in this DRS train will not help his case. ILT Leroy once again makes the move back up into P3 it goes, so they're constantly swapping positions as Sweetcon and Jeroen Visser has exchanged positions then. As you can see, there's a Haas going quite wide. I think, that's Sausage Joe. Nathan tried to go down the inside, but good release there, good launch at the exit of Luffield for Sausage Joe to remain in P4. And ILT Leroy is under immense pressure from all the guys behind. These small mistakes like oversteering out of corners could be very costly, and Sausage Joe looking very good as well in that Haas with the rest of the guys right. So Russell has extended the gap to 3 seconds now, so comfortable margin ahead of those two as Cross Liam is back up into P2 ahead of ILT Leroy. Sausage Joe might fancy a move, can he though? Gets a decent exit coming out of Stowe as we head down into Vale we go. Let's see who's deep on the brakes there as Leroy bounces over the curve. Sausage Joe's ahead, up into P3. Does he go out wide? Yes he does, but Leroy does not come back through on him, so he stays in P3. But that exit for their Sausage Joe cost him a bit of time. And once again, it's all over the back of him. And it's the first corner. Moon got Sahilu. And now Sweetcloud's down the inside of Sahilu too. Great lunge from the Ferrari driver. Very controlled on the brakes indeed. But Sahilu not willing to give this up. Actually, you move this side by side with Posh Evans then. So 2 separate groups going side by side. Let's go on board with the helicopter cam to get a clear shot what's going on. So 2 different groups. Jeroen versus Posh Evans. Sweetcloud versus Sahilu. Into Brooklyn as we go. Jeroen Visser has the inside line. Posh Evans trying to stick around the outside. Goes off the track momentarily. Posh Evans then on the inside still, but I think he might have to give way towards Jeroen Visser around the outside into Luffield. Now he's going to be under huge pressure from Sweetcon. Will he dare it? Try and force a move? No, he's too far back going into Cops, but he goes side by side through Cops to make out unscathed, and that's some very good driving indeed. Not very often you can see drivers go side by side out there, and one of them go off the track to get a warning. I remember Romain Grosjean and Carlos Sainz making contact there back in 2018. I actually can't remember last time. I think Leclerc and Hamilton back in Piastri and Verstappen, but Sausage Joe is up into P2 then ahead of Cross Liam. Sweetcon has overtaken Posh Evans there. Posh Evans might fancy a run back, so it looks like he's got a decent exit coming out of Stowe. Now heading down into these last 3 corners we go. Sweetcon deep on the brakes there and maintains P7 ahead of Posh Evans. Now Sahilu looking to take advantage as well, as Shurbeam is the first man to retire in the pit lane. Sahilu had to bail out of the throttle there. So unfortunately for one of the drivers who didn't take part in qualifying, hasn't gone well for him at all. So down the inside, late lunge, and he oversteers, but he actually locked the rears up and slides, but thankfully not taking Nathan's front wing off. So it's a controlled slide there for Jeroen Visser, stays in P5. Heart and mouth moment there for the Dutchman, but great progress so far from Jeroen Visser, starting at the very back in P17. Further behind, intense battle, 3 wide moment, Pease, Humberlele and Sahilu. Pease might take on 2 cars here, but as now we head through Luffield, Looks like Peace has some great overspeed to overtake Sahilu and almost get Humbalele. And now Sahilu trying to fire back underneath him, but can't do it. You can see the Haas is derating on this short straight. The old pitch straight going side by side now into Cops. Where you go, and Peace has to go off the track there. What about Sweetcon? He was so close to the back of that Williams, but couldn't make a move. Here we are, not a play. Oh, that was going to end in tears. I knew that was going to end in tears. Not Peace has spun as well, so both of them have spun. And Peace's great progress has unfortunately gone down the drain here at Silverstone. And further behind, Smalley Ball's looking to take advantage of that Aston Martin too. As LT Leroy once again gets all squirrely coming out of Stowe there. Great qualifying setup there, but unfortunately for the race, looks like he's sliding all over the place. As Leroy is going for a podium. Vapor Shadow once again, and Maggotts and Beckett has unfortunately lost the car. Yeah, this is a great battle from P2 downwards. Russell will be relieved not to get involved in that battle because he knows his championship rival is very close in that squabble as well. Montpier 1.7 seconds away, and I think Smalley Balls has been overtaken there by Sahilu. A move was on at the Lewis Hamilton straight, but once again we head on to the Wellington straight then, with DRS enabled for all these drivers in this train except Sausage Joe of course. But the problem is though, with Sausage Joe and P2 on the medium compound tyres, as Isa Kush disposes Bompier and moves himself up into P9. The problem is for Sausage Joe that even on the medium compound tyres, he's not able to pull away due to the power of the DRS and the slipstream around here. It's so hard to break away from DRS, and if you can do it, then fair enough to you, like Nathan has done in P1. Nathan is G Russell for those who don't know. But Nathan there getting well clear of DRS, not being challenged by anybody. He used those 2 laps to utilise those 2 laps to pull away and break free from the DRS. IRT Leroy's had a moment coming out of Chapel, and here comes Jeroen Visser then, once again on the IRT driver. Yellow flags in sector 2 as Nathan there defending from Sweetcrown. Here we go to Stowe. Looks like a late move there from Nathan to defend that one, but remains in P6 for the time being. So it looks like Leroy there, a bit tail happy on the rear end of that Alpine. It's all over the place, is that Alpine then, so let's see if we can try and get it all collected up and keep it pointing in the straight line. As he almost dropped it coming out of Maggotts and Beckett. I think Perez did that back in 2021 in the sprint race, if I'm not mistaken, where he dropped it at the exit of Chapel. And I've seen many league races drop it at the exit of Chapel too. You can see Jeroen Visser really going for it on those medium compound tyres. Great ground from P17 to P4 in 9 laps. It's incredible. Even in this DRS train, he's still making moves on people. Great pace displayed by the Dutchman there in P4. Vapor Shadow has called it a day and unfortunately retired in the pit lane, so we haven't really seen much of him in this race. But fair enough to staying in the race and trying to do something. But I don't think his track is favourable. Probably hasn't practiced either. So yeah, at least he took part. That's the main thing. But he's called it a day, and he'll go to relax for the time being. And hopefully we can see him back for more races. Vapor Shadow. He took part in the Australian Grand Prix, I think, in the AlphaTauri. He took part also in other races too here in CLL. On to the Hanger Straight then, exit of Chapel. It can be very easy to drop at the exit of the corner. We've got Sweetcrown right to the back of Nathan for take 2 then of this battle. But he's not close enough to make a lunge into Stowe we go. Nathan, for the first time, starting high up in a position like P3 and P4. Finally hasn't made first light contact like he did in Qatar in Spain. But it's nice to see him in this battle. And this battle for the podium is on. Only 2 spaces available, of course, for the podium as Russell has pulled away. So, unfortunately for all these guys in this battle, there's only 2 spaces available, and which one of them will get it? But obviously, Sausage Joe and Jeroen on the medium compound tyres, so expect them to pit very shortly and go onto the hard compound tyres. But you can see Sweetcrown got a decent exit there out of the loop section, and now we head on to entry onto the Wellington Straight as we head now into Brooklands. As they all remain in formation, but what about Nathan? Does it go a bit deeper to Brooklands? Yes, he does. Makes contact, but thankfully not enough to send Sweetcrown into a spin. And you can see Posh Evans hanging on to the back of the battle as well, just looking for opportunities just in case if anything happens at the front of the field there. It's such an incredible battle there. Sausage Joe using the medium compound tyres to his advantage, but I think the hards now might be a favourable tyre in this race. The pendulum has swung their way. the medium compound tyres haven't really paid off there for Sausage Joe. Has for you Visa started P17, but his mediums will be fading away very shortly at this stint in this race. And Jeroen actually close to the back across Liam. Here we are. Will they make it 3? Oh, contact! And Liam's in the wall! He went towards the left, he went towards the right, and the virtual safety car has been deployed. I think Jeroen Visa, this is a perfect time. Somebody's just jumped Walter in the pit lane. Was that Posh Evans? Yeah, Posh Evans has just jumped Walter in the pit lane. Using one of my old tricks there, Sebastian Vettel on Carlos Sainz and Nico Hulkenberg back in 2016 at the Chinese Grand Prix, and cross lanes in the pit lane, so that virtual safety car has helped him, but obviously not what he needs at all during this race. So looks like the virtual safety car came out very late, hence why these guys have stayed out. Maybe haven't thought about pitting, but for Jeroen Visa, it's really helped him. So Sausage Joe gets a drive-through penalty for speed on the VSC. So the yellow flags have been cleared, and we can get racing once again. Then a short virtual safety car. Some people have benefited from it. Jeroen Visa hasn't lost a lot of time because the pit lane loss around the Silverstone Grand Prix is huge. Let's see if it's benefited. Jeroen can take those hards to the end. Hasn't lost the time he would have during a normal stint, and he needs to use these hard compound tyres to his advantage. He's got a lot of clear air ahead of him. 17.0 is the gap between himself and Kenny. And what's the gap between himself and Russell? 28 seconds. I think a pit lane loss, as Posh Evans has been overtaken by Sweet Crown, so getting his revenge. I think a pit lane loss is around about 27, 28 seconds. I can't actually remember, to be honest, but as you can see, Jeroen Visa has been really helped, especially with those medium compound tyres too. Sausage Joe stayed out there, and he's got a drive-through penalty for speed on the VSC. I don't think he had enough time to dive in the pit lane, because they were on their edge, weren't they, when the virtual safety car came out. And Zahilu is ahead of Bompier for P5, and just behind him is IRT Kenny to Finn, as Sausage Joe is in the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty. And it's a double blow as well, because they have to come in the pit lane to change his tyres as well. So major time lost there for Sausage Joe. Was in a great position, but unfortunately that penalty has cost him a lot, and he will fall all the way to the back of the field once they've sorted themselves out. Posh Evans remain in the back of Walter, but Walter now on those medium compound tyres. These mediums, I think, can go to the distance at the end of this Grand Prix. So these two will be looking to close in on Jeroen Visa ahead of him. Jeroen Visa on the harder tyre, of course, going for the alternate strategy, as Sausage Joe is in the pit lane still as he comes out on those medium compound tyres. You're not allowed to change tyres while obviously serving the drive-through penalty. But here's Posh Evans around the outside of him. He knows he's on all the tyres, so doesn't have to really worry about Sausage Joe for the time being, as ILT Pyro picks up a 3-second time penalty, the Argentina driver. So Kenny back up into P6. Something happened between him and Pyro in the first lap of this race. They're back in contention. Well, I say they are. Kenny's back in contention. There he is in P7 in that Red Bull. I don't know what happened to the start, but he lost a lot of time. Well down to P19 as I tried to sort myself out here. There we go. I was trying to find the interval gap, but I couldn't quite manage it. As Nathan then quite close in the back of ILT Leroy. But I wonder with these guys staying out as Bompier re-overtakes the Hillu for P4. Russell's in the pit lane, by the way, as Bompier goes a bit deep at the exit still. Might allow Sahillu to come back, which he doesn't do because he goes off in the pit lane. Into the pit lane he goes then for change onto the medium compound tyres, as Russell does the same thing. I think Russell will stay ahead of Jeroen Visa as they come through Stowe right now. He's lost a lot of time though, but hopefully for his sake he hasn't lost it. He's on the medium compound tyres, so his tyres will be good towards the end as they reach the crossover point, the halfway point in this race. As Jeroen Visa sets the fastest lap. Will this be close, you know? Has Jeroen Visa got a good undercut? Here we are, into turn 1 and turn 2. Jeroen Visa takes the net lead as Nathan takes the actual lead of the Grand Prix ahead of ILT Leroy. So I was so focused there where Russell came out. He's actually came out right behind Sweet Khan. So the virtual safety car, being out there on hard compound tyres for an extra few laps, has cost him. And that virtual safety car wouldn't have done him any favours. He couldn't do anything about it because he passed the pit lane and the virtual safety car stayed out there, well, didn't stay out there very long, did it? So it's definitely cost him. But with those fresher tyres on board, those 2-lap different tyres, could that make a difference in the end, I wonder? Could it pay him back towards the end of this race as Cross Liam there is up into P16? So unfortunately for Cross Liam, he's looking really great and in contention for a podium. Now fighting for the lower end of the field, but at least he's still in this race. If it was me, I'd rage quit by now, but these drivers mentality is a lot better than mine in racing. So Jeroen Visser is the net lead of this race, and he's weaving on the straight there. I don't know about this situation though, because Jeroen Visser's hards will be very great towards the end. They can go towards the end, but these mediums, I think they'll be on the edge just a little bit. I'm not quite sure. I think the tyre life will be the same between the mediums and hards anyway, so I think they'll be on a level playing field later on in this race. So Jeroen's got the medium runners behind him, and the medium, the two Hasses swap positions of Joe and Isak Kush. So yeah, Jeroen Visser won't be able to break away from this DRS train. He got, yeah, the gap went down dramatically because Jeroen Visser was outside of 1 second range of DRS as they both swap positions again. Kenny is up into P3, so great recovery. So the top 4 have extended. By the way, I have seen in recent British GPs that the soft tyres are a great tyre around here. Not great, but like they can go to the distance. So I wonder if the guys at the top thinking about the soft strategy. I think it's too late to put on the mediums because Chazza is up into P12 ahead of the Hassman of Sausage Joe. So I wonder the guys at the top 4 might be switching over to the soft compound tyres. Every time I go off board somebody's always making a move. Posh Evans, there we are into Stowe. And Cops, sorry, I don't know why I get those two confused. It's obviously different corners, but Posh Evans remains ahead of Russell then. Russell looks like he was weaving in frustration, and he almost lost it into Maggots and Beckett, so he wasn't happy as both of these drivers follow each other into the pit lane. I don't think it's the softs, it's a bit too risky, so they'll have fresher mediums towards the end of this race for those two. And Leroy and Kenny are in the pit lane too. Bompierre has stayed out there for the time being. So these guys will have a massive undercut, but with those guys just pitting now, with their tyres being in great shape towards the end of the race to catch up to these guys, we're about to find out very shortly. 3 or 4 laps on a set of mediums can make a big difference indeed, as we've seen in the past. Oh, somebody's dropped at the exit of final corner. Is that Humbelele? Yeah, it is. He's in the barriers facing the wrong way round, but Russell gets a 3-second time penalty. And we've seen this back before races. He goes up the inside of Posh Evans to make contact into the loop we go. And Posh Evans is off the track there, sliding off the track too, as he fights for traction now. Dirt on his tyres, so it won't be easy to get traction for him as Humbelele has retired. So no championship points for Humbelele. Currently last in the championship is the German driver. But here's the scenario then. The virtual safety car came out 2 laps ago. Some people pitted, some people couldn't, because it came out very short. It only lasted, I can't even find the words for it, but it didn't last long. There we go. It didn't last long, the virtual safety car, so therefore some people couldn't pit. And when the virtual safety car did come out, some people already passed the pit lane and some people took advantage. I'll let you have a guess who pitted first under the VSC, such as Sweet Khan, Posh Evans, Smalley Bors. Russell stayed out there 2 laps later. Kenny picks up a 3-second time penalty as he rejoins down to P17, so he's back to where he was initially in this race, but with fresher mediums on board against those other guys, I wonder if it'll pay dividends for him later on. But this is shaping up to be a great battle as Chazza is up into P8 now ahead of Luke HD. I can't wait to see what happens at the end of this race. So I wonder if Russell got a bit lost his composure against Posh Evans. He felt like he got hard done by Posh Evans somewhere on the track. He was weaving left and right, almost lost at the exit or the entry of Maggots and Beckett. So, oh, it goes down the inside and contact! The 2 championship rivals of Russell and Sweet Khan. And Sweet Khan there in a spin, but he gets on the track immediately then, and he's lost a huge bunch of positions then. So, the first time we've really seen these two make contact in this season, and Smalley Boards is up into P6. Sweet Khan won't be happy about that one for sure. We definitely complained to him on the radio as well about that one. And Sahilu is the head of Pyro. Yeah, so that's surprising because that's the first ever contact, proper contact, I mean, not just like wheel barging, but first proper contact we've seen between those two in the championship. Russell went up the inside, there wasn't enough space, and unfortunately tight Walter as well in the process. He falls down into P7 then, so he's out of this DRS train. Russell there trying to eliminate the competition. And now he's in DRS range of Jeroen Visser. Do you know what, actually? I think Jeroen is actually in a great place to win this race. I actually think so, you know. And Sweet Crown has overtaken Smalley Balls. I hope Sweet Crown hasn't got damage and he can be back in this fight. ILT, Leroy and Nathan traded places. these two were in the podium places early on in this race, but they've dropped dramatically as well as others pitted behind that virtual safety car and gained a big advantage. And Pyro's fallen down the order. I want to keep an eye on Russell to see what he does against Jeroen Visser, if he goes aggressive or waits for the DRS. But it was Pyro who's fallen down the order. And Russell this time switches line, goes for the outside line to get a better run on the exit. But it looks like they were lagging just a bit there. Yeah, major lag spike between those two. And here comes Russell for the lead of this race. But can Jeroen Visser stay in this DRS? I wonder, that's the question. Has he got the pace in that Red Bull to remain in that DRS? All he needs, I know it's easier said than done, but he needs to try and stay in that DRS, and he also needs to try and stay under 3 seconds as well. Maybe post-race penalties could play an effect in this race due to the contact between Russell and Sweet Crown. Was it a race incident? Did Russell go a bit aggressive? Did Sweet Crown not leave enough in the room? I'll leave it to the stewards because I don't know. But yeah, for Sweet Crown's sake, I hope he hasn't got damage. He can make his way up through the field once again. IoT Kenny and Sahilu having their battles. IoT Kenny trying to charge up to the field after his first lap misfortunes. I didn't quite see what happened, whether he spun or made contact with somebody, but tried to make amends after that. Had a great qualifying too, inside the top 10 did Kenny. His best result of the season so far is currently P4. Loves to go one better on the podium like he was last season at the Dutch Grand Prix, where he defended as Bompier a long stint on those hard compound tyres, finally off, probably goal hanging for a safety car, as all of the field will overtake him. I think it's best for him to go on the soft compound tyres, you know. Everybody should have a brand new set of softs in their disposal too, so I won't be surprised if Bompier selects a soft tyre. It's got to be the case, sure. No, it's a medium tyre, so softs can go to the end. But he's elected to go to the medium, so rather have that tyre life than the soft starting towards the end. So Jeroen Visser is actually enabled to stay in that DRS. Posh Evans in P3 on the podium. Remember what happened to him a few laps ago with Nathan. And here comes Sweet Crown on Isaac Kush. Posh Evans is mighty close to a podium, but the driver behind you is not the driver you want behind you whatsoever. It's like a Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen situation. Fernando Alonso too. You don't want those drivers behind you. I don't think Sweet Crown's got damage. They're both quite relatively low on the ERS, with Walter got barely any in the battery. Isaac Kush still on the back of him, but Posh Evans then, has he got the pace to try and defend against Walter? The gap is at 2 seconds, so luckily for him, he's out of DRS range and also on the same tyres. The tyres are the same age as well for good measure, so that'll definitely help him. In fact, the more these two fight, the better for Posh Evans. So if Isaac Kush and Walter keep fighting over P4, I think they're better for Posh Evans then. This could be very interesting towards the end. But for Jeroen Visser from P17, like he was at Singapore, if you remember that race last season, I think he started P17 or 18, maybe not, yeah, it was P19 actually, and he came to win from the back to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Bearing in mind, he was on old tyres, doing a Carlos Sainz against both Mercedes there back in Singapore, just trying to keep everybody behind. Had great straight line speed. He had a lot of DRS. He had a lot of people behind him carrying DRS, but not able to pass him because Jeroen's straight line speed was mighty in the Red Bull to keep those at bay. But the scenario is different. He's on the hard compound tyres. If he's able to stick in Nathan's DRS plus Nathan's tyres towards the end of the race, might be going off as well. So this could pay favours for Jeroen Visser. I don't think he expected to win the British GP, but there's a lot going on. Isaac Kush has brought the gap 1.6 now towards Posh Evans, so they're gaining rapidly on the McLaren ahead. Posh Evans trying to do everything he can in his power to try and keep those two at bay. And obviously Isaac Kush and Sweet Crown and Smalley Balls started at the back of the field. So made a great charge up the field too, but we head on the straight now. Posh Evans there looking in his mirrors to see. You can see where they are, but he's trying to do everything he can to try to defend. Yes, I don't think Posh Evans had a podium since the Canadian Grand Prix. I don't know if that was last season or the season before. I did it with Liam Carrack. It was last season, obviously, because we had the Canadian Grand Prix this season. So I was trying to remember which race it was. With 6 laps to go in this race has absolutely flown by. And Jeroen Visser in favour to win the British GP on the hard compound tyres against guys on mediums. Oh, Josh has got a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately. at a crucial stage in this race where he could pick up a podium. The podium now will go towards Isaac Kush and Sweet Crown. They can see that Posh Evans has picked up a penalty, so these two will be fighting mighty hard for that final spot on the podium. Let's not forget about ILT, Leroy and Nathan. They're on fresher medium compound tyres in comparison to everybody else. Staying out there much later could pay favours towards the end of the race. Those guys who pitted on the virtual safety car, but Isaac Kush there going out at cops, so he might find himself a warning, so could be very careful also not to pick up that 3-second time penalty. Smalley Balls in P6 as well, what a great drive. Chazza in P7 for Aston Martin. He's also having a great drive so far. But ILT, Leroy and Nathan, their pace was great at the start of the race. And here comes Sweet Crown against Isaac Kush. He puts himself up into P4 ahead of the driver from Singapore. Rubisa doesn't have to fight Nathan, of course, but he's a racer. He'll go for it on the track anyway. He's just saving the battery towards the end, using Nathan as a slipstream there. Just trying to save that battery. But ILT Leroy is mighty close behind Luke, as we head now into the first two corners. ILT Leroy all over the back of that Alfa Romeo. Is he going to go up the inside? No, he's not. He stays behind. 5 laps to go. Time to out for Leroy. He has the best tyres out of the lot, does Leroy. So he needs to utilise these immediately to try and make up as many positions as he can. I said he was a contender for a podium, but with this train ahead of him, might be a bit difficult with all of them on DRS, but his tyres will be good towards the end. So those two, Nathan and Leroy, are ones to keep out for. Should have got. I don't know what's going to happen towards the end of this race either. So Sweet Crown, crucially in DRS range of Posh Evans now. You can see Leroy and Nathan in the background, so they can see the podium right there. But Isaac Kush again, he gets a 3-second time penalty, does Isaac Kush. So that's twice in a row he's gone out at cops. And now he's another driver who's picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. ILT Leroy knows there's probably on the podium for the cards, as Bompia picks up a 3-second time penalty here. And further up the field, we've got Smalley Balls against Isaac Kush then. They're going wheel to wheel into Stowe. Isaac Kush there understeering wide and allows Smalley Balls up into P5. So the Alpha Tyre's got some great pace in hand. So just keep an eye on ILT Leroy and Nathan in P9 and P10. Not able to do anything as Sahilo has retired from the session, unfortunately. So not been a great race whatsoever from him. But his teammate Chaz are doing a mighty job in P7. But stuck in that DRS train. Leroy needs to use these mediums. He needs to find a way past these drivers if he can. You can see him taking different lines there as we head through the loop, and now coming onto entry, we'll get a decent exit with traction from those medium compound tyres. And now you can see Luke using that ERS just to stay ahead there. So Leroy's going to force from the inside if he can. He'll have the grip coming out the corners, but he needs to try and find a way past if he can. Easier said than done, of course. But where's his best opportunity? Into heavy braking zones, because obviously it's very difficult to pick up traction on all the tyres. Quite difficult, I must say. Sweet cars all over the back of Posh Evans then. They caught up rapidly. The gap went from 2 seconds to about 2/10 in the space of a few laps as well. So that battle is mighty close. As you can see, CPI Chazza on the back of Isaac Kush. Isaac Kush like he's dropping the pace. And he's might be struggling in those medium compound tyres there, as he was one of the ones that pitted under the VSC. And here comes Sweet Crown. Will take P3 away from Posh Evans. Oh, if only Posh Evans didn't pick up a podium there. I mean, didn't pick up a penalty. What could have happened during this race? And what's going to go on further behind then? Leroy once again is not close enough. He is running out of time. The time's ticking down, and we're on lap 23 out of 26 then. Where can he make his moves, I wonder, on this straight? Lewis Hamilton straight as we head through turn 1 and turn 2. He might have to try and find some space on the inside if he can. As now we head into turn number 3. No space for the time being. Looks like he was up and trying to anticipate a move, but he couldn't do it. And I saw Luke almost in the back of Chazza there going into turn number 3, so that was very lucky and fortunate to escape from that one. But Leroy can't afford to hang around in P9. Needs to find a way through. Up the inside goes Smalley Balls on Posh Evans then. Smalley Balls in the second half showing some decent pace. He's trying to stick around the outside, but he can't quite do it. And Posh Evans remains in P4. It's a great scrap going on between these guys, trying to fight for a podium, but majority of them in this train picking up penalties along the way. CPI Chaza is quite close on the back of Isaac Crush, as Nathan has actually overtaken ILT Leroy. So he's not hanging around whatsoever, as CPI Chaza mighty close there. As we head onto the hangar straight we go. No moves were made so far in set. Posh Evans is back up into P3 ahead of Sweet Khan. Not giving up just yet is Posh Evans. Bearing in mind though, Sweet Khan could also pick up a podium penalty, but I'm not quite sure if it's likely on this case. I don't know how many warnings he's got, but Sweet Khan needs to keep it nice and clean so he doesn't pick up that penalty, and therefore less a chance of a podium. So what can Nathan do down there in P9 then? Can he try and find a way past these guys, I wonder, in that Williams? Showing some great pace as well during this race. One of those guys that pitted very later. His tyre should be the better out of the lot, as he pitted much later in comparison to everybody else. But Smalley Balls is quite close to the back of Sweet Khan, so will he find a way past here into Brooklands? He's too far back on that occasion. But what about Nathan? He's trying to go around the outside, but he can't quite do it. The car slanting around on the braking. Trying to look for a decent exit against J. Luke, but he can't quite do it. The podium's right there. He knows there's a podium on the cars, using the battery to his advantage. Here we are, into Cops then. Nathan is going to force one, better contacts on the way. Nathan might go off the track with the understeer, which he does do, so he might pick himself up a warning. But that's one car done. About 5 more to go. This could be a mega challenge within 2 laps to go during this race. A bit too late there for Nathan, but I wonder, can he try and find any way past these guys, as Sweet Khan will get back Posh Evans for P3. Universe is still sticking in P2. He knows he doesn't have to go for it yet, he's just waiting and buying his time before the last lap of this race. That's when he will make his move. Oh, somebody spun. Is that Luke? Yeah, it is. It's Luke who spun into Vale, and unfortunately has dropped out of this train now. So Luke was doing a great job from the back of the field, but gone for a spin. He's still inside the top 10, but Kenny's lads the back of him too as they head through turn 1 and turn 2. 2 laps to go in this race then. Nathan knows there's a podium on the cars, but it's so difficult to try and find a way past these guys. Look at the speed there Nathan had coming out of the corner of Aintree. But you can see Chaza using the EOS, but watch Nathan try and force one up the inside. He's too far back unless Chaza goes a bit deep into Brooklands, which he does, but remains on the racing line heading into Lovefield. Nathan's got the grip on these medium compound tyres, as Nathan then has the overspeed too. This would be a second move in succession against Chaza in Cops. Yes it is then, so Nathan made a move twice on Chaza and Luke into Cops. He's dropped out the DRS range by fighting Chaza. With those medium compound tyres he should be back in contention. Took a lot of curve there going into Magazine Beckett, so I wonder if he picked up a warning for the entry of it. Universal there, the win is in his sights. He almost could smell it now, as Posh Evans there remains in P4 for the time being. Chaza is back on Nathan, so Nathan thought he had him, but not yet, because Chaza's on the inside. But here we are, into Vale we go. I thought Smalley Balls was close enough to make a move on the McLaren driver. More yellow flags. That's down at turn number 1. It's the last lap of this race then. Russell, with that 3-second time penalty, has cost him hugely. He had a massive lead, but the virtual safety car wiped it all out. He's got Yuri Visser all over the back of him, and also that Posh Evans scrap between him and the McLaren driver cost him as well, because it looks like he was flustered there with the McLaren driver. It looks like he lost composure and started making mistakes he shouldn't be doing, and he picked up a 3-second time penalty. So had it not been that scrap with Posh Evans there, cost him a podium. But it would have been a great race between these two if George Russell didn't have a penalty to his name. So there's no pressure whatsoever for Jeroen. Or might be, because he could get a penalty for doing this. He went out wide of the exit of the Cops and used one of his jokers there not to get a penalty, as Isak Kush is headed to P5. Into Cops we go! Isak Kush is off the track there. Will he force one into Maggis and Beck as we go? This side by side, can they keep it out cleanly? They make contact, and again, and Isak Kush is in a spin. Smalley Balls in a spin too. Back on board with George Russell. He's been overtaken by Jeroen Visser. Those two are falling down the order, but it's not a great idea to go side by side. Posh Evans is up into P3 ahead of Sweet Khan, but Jeroen Visser from P17 will win the British GP. What a fantastic drive from Jeroen Visser. What a comeback. Posh Evans in P3 ahead of Wouter. And ILT Leroy's up into P5. Nathan's down to P9, so Nathan has had a problem. Sweet Crown is up into P3 and ILT Leroy will get a P5. But what a race. Something happened to Nathan as he spins towards the line. Jeroen Visser will be delighted with that. What a fantastic drive. Definitely my drive of the day indeed. Unlucky to Russell there because yeah, you can't control when the virtual safety car comes out. You got to be in the right place at the right time, but he's a bit too. It was all him being too quick. And I'm only kidding, but yeah, you can't. It's one of the things you can't control in F1 when the virtual safety cars or safety cars come out. Simply the wrong place at the wrong time. You couldn't go for a pit stop because the virtual safety car only lasted for about about 20 seconds, if that's so. But yeah, it's been a fantastic race. I enjoyed it like the whole way. What a fantastic drive from Jeroen from P17 to P1. What a statement. Makes up after EML from yesterday, after he didn't have a great drive in Japan. Sweet Crown from P14 to P3, also a great drive. Posh Evans will be, I don't know if he'll be happy or not, because I think this is one of his best results of the season. And Leroy sort of P3, maybe another day Leroy, but I think Leroy in P5 should be delighted too, because yeah, he's so close to a podium at time, but P5 is still a great result. Kenny from P7 as well. He was at the back of the field in the first lap due to contact with somebody, or I don't know. I'm not quite sure if he lost it in his own, but still came back strong in P7. I will not be doing podium interviews tonight, unfortunately, due to all delays and everything. So I'll be back with the podium interviews. I know Jeroen Visser is going to be frustrated about that because, yeah, from all the hard work he wants to get off his chest, but yeah, it's just I think I'll just do Jeroen Visser. Hi, make sure your voice is to share, mate. I think it is anyways. Yeah, Jeroen, that's the thing. I can only do one tonight, if that's okay with you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've run out of time, so that's why I
No
invited
problem.
you. I think you deserve a podium interview anyway, so that's why I invited you.
Thank you.
So, Jeroen, from the back of the field in P17, I think I'm going to say it's intentional to start P17 because the rest of you have been doing it. So, did you expect a podium at all or win in this race? Because you had some monumental pace during this race as well, and the strategy call worked in your favour too.
Well, yeah, I had a quali ban, so yeah, I didn't start on purpose. I think my quali pace, yeah, would have been good for pole. So I was a bit, yeah, I would have liked to have had a quali, but yeah, I blocked someone, so yeah, I had to take a quali ban. But yeah, pace was really good, and I heard just before we ready up, I heard everyone say, "Oh, everyone's on the hard," so I was like, "Yeah, I'll go medium then." Just to get through the field, and yeah, it worked out perfectly.
So when you went on the hard compound tyres, you had a bunch of mediums behind you because the gap reduced between the virtual safety car as well, because the pit lane loss wasn't as huge as it would have been. So the virtual safety car helped to get ahead of Russell and the rest of them on mediums. But when the rest of them were behind on mediums, were you a bit nervous about those guys overtaking the mediums?
No, not really. Only Nathan, to be honest, because Nathan was on the fresh tires, and Wouter, he was gaining, of course, but not as much as I thought. So yeah, I was just a bit scared of like getting double overtaken by Nathan and Wouter. But yeah, I think they had a little incident. I don't know if you saw it on stream, but
Instant.
they touched, I think,
Liam.
in turn 3.
Oh, that instant. Yeah, I think I saw, because Nathan went down the inside of Sweetcar, and they both hit each other. So that's where they lost a lot of time. And when you saw that, what was you going through your head at the time?
Yeah, just a few more laps in the lead. Yeah, because Nathan's pace was crazy. Also a very low wing, so I wanted to save my battery, but it was not possible because he was so quick. Of course, in the new medium versus my hards, but yeah, I did my best to stay with him, and like in the later laps, I had enough pace like to save my battery for the attack.
Do you think if in the early stages on the mediums for Nathan, if he pulled out that 1 second gap and broke the DRS towards you, do you think you have the pace later on in the race to come back at him, or do you just let us know your thoughts?
No, I would not have had the pace because yeah, the tire difference was big, and like the only reason I stayed with him was DRS and slipstream, which was powerful on this track. Yeah, I would not have had the pace to stay with him. Maybe in the 3-second window, but nah, I don't think so, to be honest.
The virtual safety car worked in your favour as well, because it came at the right time for you to get off those medium compound tyres, pit onto the hards, and some of them followed you in the pit lane to go on the hard compound mediums, as they did the opposite strategy towards you. So towards the end of the race, I think your tyres will be a little bit better than Nathan's and the rest of them.
No, his tyres were still better. They had their peak, but yeah, no, his tyres were still better. My hards were wearing as well. It was not really fun. But yeah, I must say, I don't know exactly what happened with Cross Liam, I think it was.
Yeah.
And the Haas, but yeah, I'll have to rewatch it. But I think it was not my mistake, but it was unlucky at least.
I think Liam went a bit towards the right, trying to overtake the car ahead of him. I think it was like...
Yeah, I tried to box Liam in so he couldn't overtake the Haas, and I think he tried to go for the gap that wasn't there, but I have to rewatch it. It might be my fault as well, I don't know.
I don't know, babe, but anyways, it's a fantastic drive. Watching you do those moves and the opening stint of the race on the medium compound tyres, you had to do it really, because you're on the mediums, you wanted to get as many positions as you could, and I think the highest you got before the virtual safety car was P3 or P4, so from P17 to P3 to P4 was incredible moves from you. You had the confidence, but yeah, those medium compound tyres really helped your advantage, so I want to say congrats to the win today, because you deserve it. It's a great drive, like in Singapore, it's P19 to P1 now here at the Silverstone Grand Prix. How are you feeling for Miami?
First race I would have called it then, so yeah, Miami is a strong track for me, so should be fighting there. I know it's about strong there, and Kiefer Nathan's always good, so yeah, will be a fun race for sure.
Thank you for your comments, Jeroen. Congrats on P1 once again, mate.
Yeah, thanks for the commentator.
Yeah, cheers, mate. A great pace, and we'll ride it off there then. So that's the British GP done for tonight, and we move on to Miami next week for Tier 1 for Cone. Make sure you tune in. Tier 4 at 7:30 on Monday too for the Miami Grand Prix. So we move on to the Americas next week, away from Europe. And have a good weekend. See you all later. And goodbye. Take care.